We have spent the last 2 days drooling down here, watching Joe Root batting, just as we did, of course, at Lord's as well. The first Test match on that occasion since giving up the captaincy and so on. He just looked a liberated man, and he batted absolutely brilliantly here. And who better to judge how Joe Root is playing at the moment than his father, Matt? And it's great to have you back, Matt. I think you appeared on Joe's first match on Test Match Special, and you haven't been since.
I think that's right. Yep, down at Lord's.
Yeah,
lovely to be back.
What's happened since? I mean, crikey. I mean, let's start with the obvious question: have you ever seen Joe play better than he played yesterday?
I don't think so, no.
All the years?
No, he had a great spell, I think 2016, when he got a big score against Pakistan at Old Trafford. But I don't think I've ever seen him bat as well as he has done in the last 2 games, no.
And what is it about the way he's playing that makes it stand out to you then?
I don't know, I can always, when he gets his feet moving, you can always tell he's got a bit of rhythm. And I worried a little bit when he went in this first innings because he was playing up. He feels as though he's in such good form he can score off every ball. So he's going after balls that he probably wouldn't necessarily go after. But he just looks. I mean, as I think Vaughan said earlier on commentary, there were 3 balls from Saudi that pitched pretty much in the same spot. He's hit one through mid-on for 4, one through cover point for 4, and one over the keeper's head for 6. So it's really difficult to bowl at guys when they're in that sort of form.
Yeah. And just to establish, I mean, you play yourself, didn't you? So you're coming from a reasonable club cricket.
I played a lot of Yorkshire League cricket. I've had a year here at Notts on the academy.
Yeah. So you can assess some batting. I was trying to work out where you bowl to him at the moment. It's so tough, isn't it? I mean, he's ruthless. He's got this cherubic smile, your son, and yet he's a silent assassin. I mean, he dismembered poor old Saudi yesterday.
Well, he does have a bit of a ruthless streak. He might look cherubic, but I mean, for a while now. I mean, I can remember we were out at we were involved in setting up a cricket facility in Desert Springs in Spain. We've got a place out there, and we went out there, and he spent a week before the Sri Lanka tour that was cancelled due to COVID. And I haven't thrown balls at him for probably 10 or 15 years, and I was stood about 15 yards away with one of these dog ball thrower things, and spent an hour just throwing balls, and I just could not believe how close to the middle of the bat every shot was. And I sort of got a bit of a sense for what these guys have been feeling bowling at him today.
Yeah. It wasn't just the way you were throwing the ball then.
Probably, yeah.
I never mastered that. Did we throw it quite accurately?
It took me a while to get used to it, and I think I threw my back out at the end. But and since then, I think he's batted reasonably well throughout the COVID period. Sri Lanka, India, at the beginning of last summer, batted well, and then he's got 4 centuries this year as well. So he's in top form.
It's interesting because we see the finished product, and the people who buy the tickets or watch it on the telly see the finished product. They see the innings, don't they? But it's what they don't see is all the hard work and the practice and the dedication that goes behind it. And I mean, Joe is clearly someone who's always worked very hard at his game, away from the match itself. Yeah,
I mean, Joe just loves batting. While ever as a kid, while ever someone would bowl at him, he'd be there with a bat. During COVID, he got one of these little ball feeders that Root Academy ball feeders that we have, and he'd be there for an hour batting on one leg, just for balance and
like a flamingo.
Yeah. There's a video somewhere online of him doing it, and
that's proper dedication.
Yeah, but he just loves doing it. Just loves batting.
Yeah. How do you juggle it with Billy then? Professional cricketer and done very well. He's playing first-class cricket. He plays at Glamorgan. How have you juggled the two of them, given that Billy would probably love to be Joe?
Well, Billy's his own man. I mean, they're both very, very different. And, there are shots that Billy plays that Joe doesn't play. And very different characters as well. Billy's left-handed, obviously.
Yes.
He's playing today down in Cardiff against Sussex, so I've got to keep half an eye on what's going on down there when he comes in. But no, it's great to follow them both. It's been an absolute privilege to be able to watch my 2 boys grow up playing cricket in a game that I've always loved.
Yeah. How have you gauged it then as being? We're talking about sort of the pushy parent syndrome that we've all witnessed, and we've seen in my case even up to sort of professional standards where the parents come and have a really overpowering effect on the boy or girl who's playing, or the man in my experience. How have you played that? I mean, have you had to make an assessment early as to whether or not Joe and Billy have been positively affected by you and Helen being there. I mean, look for signs of them being a bit worried about you being there, or that sort of thing.
Well, I think there are certain things you can do as a parent, and there's certain things you've got absolutely no control over whatsoever. So, whether they've got enough fast twitch fibres to be a sprinter, you've got absolutely no control over that. And so we always said manage the manageables. Do the things you can affect. Like, for example, trying to give them the opportunities that you can. Taking them to nets and so on and so forth. But I think the most important thing of all is to just give them as much encouragement as you possibly can, and try and make them believe in themselves. And that's what we've always tried to do. And we've all seen the pushy parents.
Yes.
And not a great advert for how
it can destroy the child, actually.
Absolutely,
can't it?
Yeah.
And their love of that game.
Yeah, you can't push it. You just got if they want to do it, then let them do it. But I don't think you can push it. That's the worst thing you can do.
And when they were very young, were you there? I mean, were you the person actually that got them into the cricket in the first place, and you were in the garden and so on?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, we got had a lot of support from my father. Would ferry the kids around, and Helen would ferry them around, and of course, both of them were playing. So one might be playing, Yorkshire under-13s at Cumbria, and the other one might be playing Yorkshire under-12s at Leicester, and there was a lot of that juggling about. But it's been, as I say, a privilege to be able to do it and watch them and see what's happening now.
And what's it like being the father of the captain of England, and when things aren't going well? How do you wear that?
Really tough. I mean, it's when your kids are growing up, you sort of there are certain stages that you go through. So first of all, if they want to play professional cricket, there's a point at which they establish themselves as a professional cricketer, and you think, oh, that's sort of one level reached. And then when the international game is calling to try and establish yourself on that playing field as well, then that's something different. There are certain, and the emotions, though, as you could answer your question. When someone's captain, then you're absolutely after every ball, because every ball's so important. If the team doesn't win, that criticism's coming. And it did come. And Joe was, on the field, pretty faultless with the bat last year.
Yes, he was.
But particularly in Australia, it can be gruelling as captain. He's done 2 series out there as captain, and I can't say I've enjoyed much of it, to be perfectly honest. I think we've lost 9 out of the 10 games he captained.
Yes. How do you handle that? I mean, obviously the last one you couldn't go on, I guess, this last.
No, we couldn't go out there. So
you're actually trying to handle it from the other side of the world as well.
Yeah.
And seeing what the newspapers are writing.
Yeah. I think the hardest one was the India tour, where he scored a double hundred in the first match, which we won. And then they just decided they were going to prepare pitches that was going to produce a result. And in spite of the fact that he took 5 wickets in one match at Ahmedabad, it didn't end well for us.
5 for 8.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't stop going on about it.
Yeah, that was But it's never nice to see England lose. When your son's captain, it's sort of it has a bit more of an impact, I suppose.
And how did it impact him, do you think?
I think it took its toll. He had a chat with Helen and me before he made the decision. He said, I'm going to stand down and make sure it's the right decision. He said, it's definitely the right decision, and I think it was. I think he's, as you've seen the last 2 games, he's played with a big smile on his face again, and which is lovely to see. I think part of the problem he had was he didn't want to burden anybody else with it, and but Ben's taking it on now, and he's stepped into it really well, and. Let's fingers crossed we can get over the line in this series.
Yeah, it's funny because we up here we talk about the captaincy, and it is. I mean, clearly it is a burden as well as being a tremendous privilege and an honour to be England captain. But Joe strikes me as being someone who probably could never just leave it alone for a little while. You've got that mantle on your shoulders, and you put it on when you're first captain, and then finally you take it off. But not much respite in between, I wouldn't have thought.
No, and also added with the complexities of COVID and the bubbles, and he'd go for meetings that lasted an hour and not talk about cricket. And I think he found that particularly difficult to deal with as well.
Yeah, you were there at Lords, obviously. I mean, what did you feel? What was your emotion there when he scored that 100?
Well, I mean, first of all, what a great Test match. It went backwards and forwards 3 or 4 times. But yeah, to get to, I mean, it all happened at the same time, didn't it?
Yes.
It was 10,000 runs, the win, 100. You know, and I was stood with Guy Lavender, the CEO of the MCC, when the announcement came on that everyone's going to get a refund, which absolutely, you know, he said, I'm stealing from the rich and giving to the rich.
It was an absolute win-win for everyone there.
Well, Guy, I said to Guy, I was expecting his face to drop, and he said, he went, yes. I said, what did you mean? He said, well, we're insured. You know, everyone goes home happy. They had a good hour and a bit of cricket, and they can buy some memorabilia on the way home. So,
well, I hope it did. But did you, when you saw him get that 100 and his face? It must be very emotional for you, I think, and Carrie's face to his wife. Obviously, with the television camera homed in on her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's it's one thing for us to, with a fleeting relationship with these sort of people, but when it's your family.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was very special. I think particularly because, and I said to him the night before, I can't remember you scoring the winning runs in a Test match, and he said, "Well, I've done it twice." And I said, "I can't remember that." And so for him to score the winning runs in a Test match as well, you know, at the same time, that was just really, really special.
Yeah, and watching him play here. Yesterday in particular, are there any particular shots that when you stand there or sit there and go, poof?
Yeah, I sent him a text last night. I said, you've played 4 shots today that I thought were, you know, incredible. And one was that pull shot early on.
Like one.
Yeah, he really whacked it. And then he hit a couple of cover drives. There was one cover drive, he just hit it and stood and gone. And then, I mean, this morning, that sort of, I think...
that ramp, come on, that's ridiculous.
He's trying to get back in the T20 squad, isn't he?
That's what I thought. And his footwork... Again, is that something he's always had? I mean, because the funny thing about Joe is he's always taller than I think he's going to be. Yeah, he is a bit taller, doesn't he? He looks on the telly again, but he's got a good stride as well, got those, longish legs. Is he always had that sort of mobility? He's always been able to get so far forward, which is much key of his play, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so far back as well. Yeah.
I think people say he plays spin really well. I think the fact that he can probably play backwards and forwards to the same ball. He does get right back and he gets right forward, and I think that's a real key when you're playing spin.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he's playing with the likes of Kyle Jameson and Zach Crawley. He doesn't look that tall, but he does get a good stride. He makes use of it.
Do you think he ever lost his hunger while he was captain? Do you ever think during Australia?
No, I think it was a bit demoralising the way things went out there. We didn't perform particularly well. I think he had the weight of the world on his shoulders at times, but I don't think he was ever demoralised to that extent. No, I mean, just loves playing cricket, loves batting.
Yeah, it's hard. Those interviews are difficult. I
can imagine.
Hobart was bad.
Yeah.
Grenada.
Yeah.
You can see a sort of a hollow look in the eye,
Yeah. No, I can imagine. It's not easy for journalists.
Well, we asked the question. Look, how long do things go on for? I mean, he's got his hunger back. He's got his smile back. He's still in great nick, like he was before this season anyway. Well,
you look at Jimmy bowling fast. I think he's 40 next week. And still going strong. I mean, how on earth a fast bowler can take 650 wickets? It's in this day and age, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he sees Jimmy, and Joe's a batsman. He's 8 years younger, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, Matt, it's lovely to see you. Thanks for coming in. I mean, I know how much you will have enjoyed it, but Helen's not here. She's away. She's missed that.
I'd say hi to Helen and pals out in Mallorca.
She's enjoying the sunshine.
Yeah.
You should be here, Helen. Never mind. You can watch it on the highlights. Matt, thanks for coming in.
Absolute pleasure, Agus.
Enjoy the rest of the summer. We shall see you at Headingley for sure.
We will indeed.
And well played to Joe.